The perfect response from Newcastle United following the international break, as they put Pep Guardiola's Manchester City to the sword thanks to a second-half brace from winger Harvey Barnes to reignite the hopes and expectations of all of a black and white persuasion after poor recent results.
Newcastle may have only scored 2 goals in the match, but they could have had several more, with Nick Voltemade and Harvey Barnes missing a number of golden opportunities in the first period. Manchester City did have chances too, but no one would have begrudged Newcastle if they had led at half-time. They didn't though, and there was a concern that Manchester City would eventually punish the Magpies. However, when Harvey Barnes made up for his first half misses with a rifled effort into the bottom corner, it seemed like the Magpies may well be on course for a famous win. The joy though was cut short when Ruben Diaz equalised, but Harvey Barnes was soon on hand to restore Newcastle's lead and give the vast majority of those inside of St James's Park an important victory to celebrate. To see how it came about, let's go back to the start of the match here on Tyneside.
After Harvey Barnes had squandered a chance inside the first 30 seconds, Nick Voltemade then saw a header saved down low by Gianluigi Donnarumma. Barnes was then given a chance to make up for his earlier miss, but this time his effort went wide from point-blank range. The visitors also went close, first through Erling Haaland, before Phil Foden guided a shot wide when he seemed certain to score. It was Newcastle who made the breakthrough in the second half though, with Barnes finally converting after good link-up play with Bruno Guimaraes in Manchester City's half. The celebrations were wild inside of St James's Park, but the Magpies' lead was short-lived though, as Ruben Diaz squeezed the ball home after Newcastle failed to clear their lines from a corner. The Sky Blues were invigorated by their equaliser, but moments later, the Magpies led again, with Barnes grabbing his second. Manchester City were unhappy with the goal, but VAR ultimately allowed it to stand. Newcastle then put their bodies on the line to hold on for the win before tempers flared at full time. Eddie Howe was pleased with his side's attacking performance following the conclusion of events at St James's Park.
Absolutely. The biggest time to worry is when you're not flowing and you're not creating anything, and we've had games like that this season where you think I'm not sure we can score today, and I don't want to produce that team and I don't want to produce that style of football. I want to look a threat in every phase and every moment, and I thought we did today. Even when we don't have the ball, you want to think one loose pass from the opposition and we can attack the other end, and today I think we had that feeling about us. Great to see Nick have some chances. He's done very well with his goal return from limited shots. But today, again, I felt while he was on the pitch, he could score.
And is the real acid test now Everton next week? Because, of course, we know the away record hasn't been as good, and you should be able to, or want to be able to, take a performance like that into an away game where, obviously, there's been issues this season.
Yeah, I think the acid test is Marseille and Everton. We have to now go away in the Champions League to a very, very difficult opponent, and we need to perform. We get very limited rest. And that's the challenge, and the biggest challenge that we face. Our schedule between now and the end of January is relentless. So now the players have to look after themselves, we have to regroup, and we have to go again.
It's difficult in that place. It was a tight game, chances both sides. Gigio was extraordinary, and we missed chances, and at the end we were better in the second half. We conceded a goal, and after switched both sides, and at the end we could not take a result.
Eddie Howe was clearly pleased that his side were creating chances in the first half, despite them being missed, and that all Newcastle needed was that finishing touch. That they managed to find before then defending manfully to see out the victory. As Howe alluded to, though, Newcastle will now have to take that standard of performance into Marseille next in the Champions League before a trip to Merseyside to face Everton in the Premier League. Home form has not been the issue so far for Newcastle, with the struggles coming away from St James's Park. The Magpies face a quick turnaround going into their match with Marseille, but they are in a good position in the Champions League, meaning that they can approach that game with renewed vigour and optimism. Everton, perhaps, will be the real test to come.